Just make the product, put it on the door, start selling it. I already make like 10 mistakes, but I already start selling it. So what's the point? Why don't you just execute it first and then learn from your mistake and continue improvement? It's like a pizza dough. When you stretch it, you make it bigger, and then you start to see a lot of hole in there. And now you cannot put any more sauce in there because it's leaked. I'm worried about the -1% that you don't feel it, but it's crypted into a size that by the time we realize that, it's too late. If I go into the restaurant, the toilet is not clean. Now I'm thinking about not just hey, can you clean the toilet? That's only solve one-time problem. When you go to the restaurant, is actually the end result of what the system been built.
Teddy Lee, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
You're a busy guy. I appreciate that. You're flying here, there, and everywhere for your ramen empire. But I'm really grateful you're sitting down with me today. Myself and my team were recently at a business awards that you did the keynote at, telling everybody around your story and your journey and the journey and the strong growth story of Maki Ramen. And I thought, that's a guy I'd love to pick the brains of. So I'm looking forward to today's conversation. But how are things just generally at the moment? Busy?
Very good. Busy. I think it's busy running around and, all the new opening, and then like not all opening is smooth. Either it's busy, so then you have a lot of operational issue. If it's not busy, then we have marketing issue. So keep me alive,
Yeah. There's always something to keep you busy, right?
Yes.
That's for sure. I think a lot of people listening or watching may have heard of Maki Ramen, and if they've not yet, they certainly will now, and they'll probably see one on their street soon. And we'll talk a little bit around that, you as a chef, you as a CEO and founder. But I'd love to pick your brains a little bit around Teddy Lee before the chef, and a bit about growing up and almost those formative years that really led to the person you are now, and that passion for food and cuisine, and if there was anything from that business perspective as well. But what were those early years like for you?
Oh, that's a good one. So early life. So I wasn't like a A student. So I'm more like a D student. Always this kind of school, it doesn't like get into my brain. So I couldn't really focus on the school itself. And because of that, I have to pick a subject early. And normally when you don't go to school, so you pick something like hospitality, kitchen, hotel management. So I picked that, but also my parents is also like owning a restaurant before. So it's kind of like naturally I would just go there. So in starting working as a chef, was like kind of a really hard work, but I really enjoyed that. And the time goes really fast. The people, the environment, I learned new things. I got free food. So I really, really enjoyed that. So I didn't like pick that really. It was more like, it was just naturally just like come. Yeah.
And what was the restaurant, and where was that your parents ran?
It was in Israel.
Okay.
Yeah. Haifa, Tel Aviv. When I started working, I was working with my mom restaurant.
Yeah.
As a cafe, some sushi, some kind of like Italian spaghetti, and some ciabatta with sandwiches and stuff like that. And that was the first approach pretty much for the restaurant.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I was studying hotel management in school when I was 15, 16.
When was how old were you when you stepped inside your first restaurant kitchen?
I think 17 was the proper step. Yeah. I did it when I was 13, but like as a wash dishes. But it wasn't like kitchen cutting and cooking and stuff like that.
And back then, when you were, whether it's between those years of 13 to 17, and your parents owned a restaurant, did you see that as a potential future, and you saw them enjoying their work, and you thought, I could see yourself doing that? Hence the decision to, I think you went into the food management side. What was that like in terms of, was there ever any other options on the table for you in terms of your mind of, I could, go and be a footballer or run a business or whatever that may be, or was it always almost food and
It was,
restaurants?
as I think about it, it was only that's the only thing I wanted to do, to one day open a restaurant. But it was also like not a lot of choice for me to like, there you go, So it's like the horse that they cover their ear, their eye,
Blinkers,
like, so the blinkers. So all I see was a restaurant. I didn't see myself like working in an office, anything to do with computer or high tech. There wasn't any AI at that time. So it was like no marketing or something like that. It was only restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. And you've talked about it a lot, and I know a lot of people that work in hospitality and how long those hours can be and how many days a year you're having to be in there and working. What was that like in terms of your childhood years and seeing your parents work what must have been crazy hours, which must seem like the norm.
Yes.
But that must have been very obvious how busy they were and what hospitality demands of you from a work perspective.
Like weekends, Christmas, all type of holiday, they will be extreme busy, so they work. I don't really get to see them because if I go to school, then I finish school, they are at work. When I go to school, they are sleeping, and when they finish work, I probably went to bed as well. So we don't see each other, especially not even on the weekend, because the weekend is the one that they are the busiest, so they need to be at work. I start to connect with them mainly from when I start work. So I find myself like actually get to know them better by actually going on a weekend to work with them.
Yeah. Was that hard?
That time, no, it was very fun actually. It was very fun.
And do you have siblings? Like,
I have one brother and one sister.
And were they the same in terms of being in the restaurant?
They are like 9 years younger than me, another 9 years younger than me. So my sister is like 18, 19 years old younger than, like younger gap.
Yeah.
So they don't see that they are very different. They are very, very different. My brother is kind of like smart. He graduated accountant. He didn't do anything with that, but he's more like another kind of personality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when you're at school and you kind of said yourself more of a D student rather than an A student, was that frustrating for you, or did you have a little bit of comfort kind of knowing what you were destined to do in the food and restaurant world? How was that?
No, not really, but there wasn't really people pushing me saying like, all these Asian parents, like, you have to get A, you have to get A. There wasn't really like that. My mom and my dad more like freestyle, like, okay, if you cannot do this, do something else. I will support you. So they will, give you like extra tutoring, like extra curriculum to help you. But other than that, like, there wasn't really like a push, look, you have to get that. But even they push, it's not going to help.
So what does the next chapter look like in your life after you start to work in the restaurant, and then beyond that, what happens next in your trajectory?
So I work in a restaurant. I came to UK under working visa.
Okay.
Again, restaurant for 6 years, and that's like
to Edinburgh.
Edinburgh, yes.
Yeah.
So this is where I started actually. So like 6 years, kind of like staying in Edinburgh, working in Inverness, come back, and then after the period of the working visa, then I can now go and work somewhere else.
Okay.
I opened a small restaurant in Stack. It's called Stack Pavilion. It is in Isles of Arran, so it's West Glasgow. Isles of Arran for 5 months because it's like because it's island. So when in the summer they open, when in the winter they actually close. So I had this opportunity to own my own restaurant for 5 months.
And how does that come around like that in terms of how does that opportunity even come up?
So I'm always looking for it, to open my own restaurant. And I even do like business proposal on my free time after working 6 days. That's my spare time. That's my hobby. And then I look at, I think it was a newspaper that they that he advertised that there's like place. What I looking for at that time was opening a restaurant, and doing my own thing, but I didn't have much money there. So the starter budget there, it was like £3,000, and that's it. There wasn't need like the solicitors, agent fee, deposit, pay this, pay that in order for you to start it. And I didn't do any renovation as well because it was a restaurant. I didn't even change the logo. It was called Stack Pavilion. I don't even know what Stack Pavilion really means. So I started open it, and I do what I'm good at. It wasn't Japanese. It was more like Western food. So a steak, fish. And the client there they see me like, do you do chicken chow mein? Do you do like curry rice? So I was like, you know what? Let's put it in the menu as well. So I turned it into like a Chinese restaurant, but then Stack Pavilion.
Yes.
But all of that is because I just see that, this is the demand. Like, this is what they want me to make. So I make. It's not like, for me, it's more like the money customer, and then as long as you pay me the bill, I'm happy with that. So, yeah.
Brilliant. What was, taking a step back, why Edinburgh? Why Scotland? What was your calling to come over here?
Again, there's no choice. It was just like, so back in Israel, I didn't get my identity. So I was like illegal immigrant there.
Okay.
And I got caught like basically, hey, you cannot work here because you don't have the right visa. So
what age was that?
I was 21, 22 when I was when I left.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. But I speak the language.
Yeah.
I read, I write. I know a lot of people there. And then they kind of like, they left me to a gray area because I wasn't really illegal, but so they let me stay, but don't let me work. Okay.
Yeah.
But they let me study as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they end up like, I have to find another job. And apparently one of the guy who went to Israel met my dad, and then he went to Scotland, and then he went crazy with the restaurant. He got 9 restaurants called Jimmy Jones.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Jimmy Jones, Jimmy Jones, yeah, buffet, right? 9 or 10 restaurants started in Aberdeen. Go back, go down, keep on opening. He need more staff. And he contact my mom. My mom contact me. There we go. That's your opportunity.
Yeah.
Just go somewhere else. And since I born in Israel, so since 0 to 22, I didn't go out of Israel. I didn't take any. No, I did actually. Sorry. I did went back to Hong Kong, but when I was like in 17 to 22, I didn't go out anywhere. Like, a lot of the young people going to Thailand, Spain, Ibiza.
Of course.
I didn't do any of this. And this is the first time I'm kind of like going out to the UK.
So did you know that would be an issue or not until like that came around that you couldn't get a job because of your
visa?
Yeah.
I didn't know it was an issue, but I didn't really have a passport or anything. But I wasn't thinking about all this. Like I was 19.
Yeah, you're naive.
You just give me a job, like give me a job. As long as you pay me money, you pay me money. And I have bank statement, the bank account as well. So you can transfer the money as well.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like cash.
Yeah. What was that like, that moment in time where you kind of found that out? Like, talk me through that in terms of just the emotions in the moment and how that might have felt for yourself and the family.
The first time that I really approached that I realized that I cannot work, I took a bus. It's about 1 hour away from my home, and I turned up to the work at 8 o'clock in the morning. I start working for 2 hours, and then the manager pulled me to the office, and then he told me this. And this is when I'm like, so they didn't pay me, but I, make all this effort, and then tell me like, you cannot work here. And this is how I felt like, whoa, like, no. But then, okay, so I forgot about this and I continued the working. And there are a couple of times that immigration come over in the front door, and then the owner tell me going to the back door.
Well,
So this is when I'm feeling like I'm kind of like unwanted,
Yeah.
because it's more like,
Is that stressful?
why?
It'd be stressful.
Yeah, because I born there. I can swear in Hebrew. I can just
Yeah.
So yeah, so this is how I felt at that time, that it was unwanted, and I don't see the future anymore.
Yeah.
Because I was head chef in age of 20 in a French restaurant. I go up very fast in my career. I was earning quite a good lump sum compared to all the 20 or all my classmates. Yeah, but that's it, done.
Yeah. So what was the, going from that decision and the realization of you can't work in Israel, how short was that time frame of hearing that to then action and, coming to Edinburgh?
So honestly, if there is no job offer, because I wasn't really actively looking for that, it has just come from the external, I probably would stay there until whenever they actually need to kick me out.
Yeah.
Because, the maximum they can kick me out is kick me back to Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not familiar with that place. I'm from Hong Kong, but I'm not familiar with it because I've never really been there or never really lived there, But yeah, it's just natural things just put me around.
On reflection now and what you've built and how successful you've been, do you reflect on that moment in time as almost lighting a fire underneath you in terms of coming over here and building something that's going to really prove
opening a restaurant always is my thing.
Yeah.
I always wanted that. The lighting fire actually, when I come over here, it's actually shut me down, because 6 years working in the same company, that's all you do.
Yeah.
Like there was like, they fixed me accommodation, and obviously you get lower pay for that. And then at that time, there wasn't like a tips distribution, bonuses and stuff like that, And the accommodation was like 4 people in a room, this kind of accommodation. And, kitchen, we all smoke. If the windows were shut because it's cold. So this is like, but I live with this environment for like 1.5 years. I get out from it. 1 year, 1.5 years. And I get out from it. It's just like, for me, I kind of like get used to it. Because I had a life in Israel. I have my own bed. And then when you enter to like a different environment, I think that I need to lower my expectation or lower my standard in order for me to like just adapt with the environment. Now, don't get me wrong, it was actually really fun.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like, yes, okay, maybe work-life balance wasn't there, but I didn't know the word work-life balance. It's a new thing that they made up. So it was 6 days, 10 hours a day, sometimes 12. And all I do is work and sleep and continue to work. I studied English at that time as well, so I wake up particularly early in the morning until when all the chefs are still sleeping, 9 o'clock to 12. That's my like English second language study, and for like 3 years or so. But it was fun because I think that we all like kitchen, we all like having these kind of like jokes. Nowadays we cannot even say that because it's like racist joke or whatever, this kind of thing. But we're having like a very good fun. I didn't feel like it was like disadvantaged or like depressed or like, why am I living in this kind of environment? I actually really enjoy that.
Yeah.
Like the whole process of that. Yeah.
Well, it's incredible. What a great story. And just even those, you can only imagine again from those moments of when you find yourself in Edinburgh, what was even that connection back home then? Like, that must have been really tough for your parents.
Yes. So my mom were in Edinburgh first.
Okay.
And then my dad is in Hong Kong. They separated. No, I think they are okay. Yeah. They're okay with that. Yeah.
You can help me with my pronunciation, but I want to talk to you about Ikigai.
Ikigai, yes.
Yeah. The reason for being.
Yes.
Do you want to give us a better definition of?
So it's there's another a word of it. This is the the head shop concept. So let's go back to the ikigai. It's basically, it's like you do what you love. So am I doing what I love? I love cooking, so I'm doing it. Do you get paid for that? And I do pay for that. Not a lot, but I get paid for it. And so the whole ikigai thing is more like about balance of like what you love and what is passionate. What is the world need? So this is ikigai implement into business. What the world need. If you are a chef, what the world need? You know, what are you feeding customer or like a good food? It's more like a balance that I'm thinking of. Like every time when I do something, I'm just try to align myself using ikigai.
Yeah, because you talked about that at the event, and I'm just wondering at this stage in those early years coming to Edinburgh, where are you on that?
On that zen.
Yeah.
I didn't know about ikigai at that time. I didn't read the book. I never heard of ikigai at the time. It was just like, okay, go with the flow.
Yeah. So you're obviously, those first few years in Edinburgh, how long is that before is it after the 6 years you then go and open the restaurant in Glasgow?
Yeah, I worked, so it's like after 6 years, I was looking for a restaurant. Meanwhile, I was working as like chef de parties.
Yep.
So I will have to travel different places to do a one-night shift there, one-night shift there.
And are you just saving money relentlessly? I'm conscious obviously how expensive it is to open a restaurant, and
yes,
it's dangerous to say it flippantly in terms of you wanted to open a restaurant, but you must be so disciplined in terms of the hours you're working and just saving up to make that a possibility.
Yes, so that's the best thing coming out of it is for working 6 days and not even have time to spend your money.
Yeah,
you're literally just making your net and you're saving it all. Okay. Maybe buying a packet of cigarette. That's even coffee we don't buy. We just drink from the restaurant, right? Like this, like Nescoffee. So saving money was a thing for me.
And did you have a number in your mind of what you need to get to make this a possibility, or?
It wasn't, because my first Eyes of Arran restaurant was about £3,000.
Yeah.
That was the budget. That's it. The first market cost 80,000. But I didn't know that until it wasn't too much of a planning. It's just like, hey, how much is that? This is how much I have. At that time, I had a deposit of my house. So my eldest daughter now is 11 years old. Maki Ramen is 11 years old. So I just actually started a family. And yeah.
Great. So what's that period between the Chinese restaurant in Glasgow to Maki Ramen? What does that look like in terms of that timeline and story between?
Okay, so in between them, there was a Malaysian restaurant called Kampong Ali. So after Jimmy Chung's was Kampong Ali, and then Eyes of Arran, and then a little bit of Kampong Ali, Chef de Parties, and then Maki Ramen.
Right.
Yeah.
And talk to me around the inception of Maki Ramen, and that idea and the realization of, okay, I can make something here that I believe in and that can be better. You talked a little bit around that story from going idea to decision to action, and you're going to open that restaurant.
So it was always wanted to open a restaurant. It wasn't defined what restaurant. So it wasn't like, I always wanted to own something that I would create the dishes from. At the beginning, it was more like ramen and sushi. So we called it something like ramen and sushi, or sushi and ramen. And then we turned it into like a bit more like maki and then ramen itself. I didn't know how to make ramen when I opened Maki Ramen. Like not the proper ramen. And then I searched on YouTube and I make, and then still customer wasn't too happy. Everything to do with that is the turnaround of 3 weeks. Every week I'm kind of improving it until there is a master chef from Japan. She is called, her name is Misaya Undai. At that time she was 72. It was a pork, well, it was a filmmakers. They want to showcase what ramen they have outside Japan, and they came to Edinburgh, and they've contacted me, and they're choosing like restaurant, and I was like, hey, I do everything for your show. Okay. So what they trying to do is finding the really bad ramen, and then the Messiah Undai, which is the master chef, came over and they're changing it. It's like more like a Gordon Ramsay, those kind of things.
Yeah.
Without the shouting. Okay? And then so we show them the ramen. We have to make some ramen that is very weird, which is we come up with like a breakfast ramen. So Scottish breakfast ramen. So black pudding.
Yeah.
And then we have to like put a shot of whiskey on the ramen to like make it whoa. And then she came out, and then she turned up as like a normal customer, and then become like the master chef. And you show me, and then this is where I'm first time approaching a proper real ramen. It's called burn soyu ramen. We had it in the menu. We take it off because there's so much hassle to do that, which is like they put a lot of oil on the surface, and then they just torch it really hard until the oil is like pumping hot. So that's called the burn soyu ramen. Okay. It was strong, it was good, but then it was also too oily as well. So I think that the customer here didn't like that. It was literally like a flow of oil that you can see floating on your ramen. But that's a thing though.
Yeah. And I'm conscious you talk a little bit around it. I've seen you talk about it before in terms of being self-taught, in terms of going on YouTube and learning how to make ramen and things.
Yeah.
And then there was obviously that moment in time that you took yourself to Tokyo.
Yes.
Talk us through a little bit around that as well, just to, I guess, become a master of the art.
Still not. So this is the first time how I learned ramen, and then the ramen went well, the ramen went good. People are starting to eat the proper ramen now, and the business go well. I opened the second one. And this is when a customer handed over me a DVD. It was a DVD at that time.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Jiro, the Dream of Sushi. You heard about that? It's a documentary about old 70-odd person. He have a restaurant, 6-seated underneath a subway, and he's doing something called omakase. Mm-hmm. It's like a fine dine. And that document shows me that sushi can be in a different level. 2 weeks later, I was like, wife, let's pack up a bag. I have my little one with me. And then we stayed there for 2 months.
Wow.
I closed one of the restaurants because the second Maki Ramen opened, and then I closed it. And then I just put like a big sign. I was like, hey, I'm traveling to Japan. I'm going to learn some new sushi. This is how the restaurant looks like in the future. And meanwhile, they closed for renovation, and I just went to Japan for 2 months. 9 to 5, 5 days, just sushi, like wash rice, wash cloth, cutting fish, everything from scratch. And this is when I'm like, whoa, this is eyes opening.
And what was that a real realization then, until you kind of said your eyes opening there around what you can come back to Edinburgh and create? And you use the word proper a lot, and I see that a lot in terms of proper ramen. Talk to us a little bit around that and the excitement of what you're going to come back to Scotland and Japan with.
Proper sushi, proper ramen. Proper ramen, before ramen, everyone knows, like back 11 years ago, all the ramen in Edinburgh, I would say, because I know the market, but whoever put ramen in there, the soup, it's water, MSG, and soy sauce. That was like common. And then now you're actually taking the real bone to cook it for a long time. There's a method, there's a way to do that properly to get into the flavor that you actually want, similar to Japan. And same as the eye-opening of like sushi. I can see now a sushi chef within 10, 15 seconds. I just need to ask him to make a sushi, and I know where the level of sushi he's in. So there are like these tiny 1% better improvement that every single step I see that 1%. If it's not there, this is mean for me. It's not the proper sushi, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the maybe light switch moment of your aspirations were to start a restaurant, own a restaurant? You weren't too fussed around what that restaurant would be. Maki Ramen starts, becoming a success. You go to Tokyo. Is that a real moment of you realizing you're all in on this and you're going to make a success in this? And what does that look like?
Going to Tokyo is only improving the product. The product improved, then word of mouth. But word of mouth marketing, it's very slow. Very, very slow. But no one talk about like second year I went, and then I make a good food, and then people start coming in and fill up the restaurant. But no one really know that I was in Japan to make that food.
Yeah.
They just eat the food and then they say, wow, that's good. They just don't know why. But if I do have a marketing at that time, I would just spread that word. Like this is like a good marketing story for that. But up until like 6-7 years, that story came out. So it wasn't there, but it was more like word of mouth. What was the question? Light bulb moment?
Yeah, I'm just really realizing it was going to be Maki and Ramen, and it was going to be specializing in that cuisine.
Yes. So it was always, I always wanted, the reason I picked two category of the Maki and Ramen, in Japan, you only pick one. So you cannot be Maki and Ramen. Right. You're either Maki or you're either Ramen. Yeah. Like if you open a shop. If you do both, it's just weird for them. But here is like izakaya style. Basically,
Maki is sushi.
Maki is sushi, yeah. And izakaya style is, back in the day, a lot of people just have udon, have like everything, as long as it's Japanese. And you can see it like from a Chinese restaurant as well. The Chinese restaurant, what they do, they just put 300 items in there. Okay. And by the way, probably none of them actually have in China.
Yeah.
And then now you have the proper Chinese restaurant that you can actually see Chinese people coming in. So this is what I think is the city itself have metropolitan to like understand that there is more food available. Shrinking the menu to only 2 main items, that was very smart. I think that that will bring me to a focus rather than like having everything but not doing it so well. But I was focusing on these two. Ramen taking a lot of space, a lot of time to make as well. So all the 8-hour cooking broth and all the bone and everything and storage so there is not really much space or time to deal with other things that you're specific or specialized good at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And yourself at those early stages when it's 1 or 2 restaurants, what's the role you're playing? Are you just being head chef and in the operations and the technical side of things? Or are you also, what's that balance? And we talk a lot around working in the business and working on the business.
Yeah.
Around in the business is being the technical and the day-to-day, but also working on the business in terms of what's your strategy, where you try to take this, the vision and the mission.
Yes.
What does that look like in that balance from you as being a founder, but also, I guess, at that stage, a head chef as well?
So wearing all this hat, I was on the business until year 6. So Maki number 6.
Okay.
So 6 restaurant, I was still on the business. Only 7, I started to like feeling that, whoa, we just opened a restaurant, but I wasn't in the kitchen. I wasn't at the front.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing any paperwork. Only up until Maki number 7, which is St. James Quarter.
Well, yeah. And again, it's an amazing, even that stage of having, 6 or 7 restaurants, to get to the position that you're able to open your 2nd restaurant, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, you've got to build processes, consistency, have a level of quality assurance. How do you do that?
There wasn't any. I didn't do that. So there wasn't any up until I think 8 or 9 actually. But there wasn't any processes. There wasn't any recipes. Well, there was kind of recipe, but it wasn't like clearly defined. Okay, put a spoon of this, put a spoon of that. It is more like for physical training. So I started with 1, and then I have a chef, and then the chef become like a head chef, and I move on to the second one, and I hire another one, and then the chef become a head chef. So then I move on to the third one, and now I have 2 head chefs who know exactly what to do. But there wasn't any recipe written down there. I was just like putting in. It was inconsistent in terms of food. So some people will say, "Oh, Maki 4 is tastier, or the saltier than Maki 3," and all these kind of things. It's happened actually, but it wasn't any consistency. There was some kind of like a guideline of like foundation of the broth. But yeah, so this is how I done that, like physical training of them one by one. And this is why it takes me 1 year as well to open each, because I need to take about half a year time just to train the chef to become a head chef.
And what is it? And when you're saying that, is it much kind of hand in hand, showing them what to do?
Yes. Because I work there, I work inside.
Yeah.
So they know exactly what I'm doing. So they was with me. All these standard procedures, it's only when you like scale.
Of course.
So you're sitting in the office, the chef don't know what to do. There you go. Read this.
But I think it's amazing to hear, and it shows you the strength of the brand, but also the product as well. Because most people that are trying to scale businesses or grow their teams or whatever that may be will think, okay, well, this is only going to happen if we build the conditions and the environment, the systems, the processes to build that scale on top of. Whereas you've almost had to reverse engineer.
I actually think you should be hands-on, get your hand dirty, set up a foundation. Then those are paperwork.
Yeah.
Writing down a recipe. Then you go for that paperwork. It takes me too long to do it because, again, I'm not very good at this. I do hire people to do it for me.
Yeah.
I just need to verbally tell them, like, this is how I put, this is how I put. And the thing is, if they ask me again, I might change my mind. Oh, you know what? Don't put 1 teaspoon. Put a spoon. Oh, don't put that. You know what? Change it to this.
Yeah.
So if they're asking me again, I will just change the recipe. But because I cannot, I'm kind of like person that I wanted to improve a little bit better. So every time when I taste it, I was like, that ingredient is missing. Okay, let's change the recipe for that. So I'm still doing it. And unfortunately, the team was like, oh my God, he's tasting the food again.
What are you like as a head chef, a leader, a colleague? What does that what would people say about you in that regard?
Well, I don't know. You need to ask them. But then they call me sensei. Sensei is more like, it's a teacher, but it's more like, the Kung Fu master.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So it's more like mentoring and this.
Are you patient?
Okay. So they think that I'm impatient. I think I'm patient. But I'm also like, I want a thing to be happen now or proactively action them. Because sometimes I put myself a timeline. If I give someone a project, I was expecting maybe 1 week. But then after 1 week, they didn't buy. So for me, it's like, hey, but for them, it's like maybe they're thinking 3 weeks time. But I'm giving like 1 week, just do it. Just press the button. That's all.
Yeah. During those times and that scaling, that hyper scaling from almost to the 6 or 7, what were some of the biggest challenges, failures, or regrets during that stage that you kind of reflect on now? If you maybe had another chance, you'd do something differently.
I would probably write the standard procedures sooner than this. It was all over the place. Either it's the account, the bank statement. I couldn't see which one is profitable, which one is not, because it was like up to 6. I think I control up to 4. I can actually feel it because I used to like just pen and paper and write down the sales.
Yeah, well.
But then it stopped because there's way too many things going on there. So definitely hire a team between me and the manager, head chef. I think that's like something that I would do at that time. Like admin team, like finance team. At that time I didn't have marketing yet. So like really building a team between the operation and me.
What was changing in terms of, in your mind, what the opportunity and could actually look like in terms of the scale of Maki Ramen? Because you're opening multiple different sites in Edinburgh in just one city. What's that doing to you in terms of almost that realization of how big the vision could be and the scalability? Like, what does that look like?
So again, it looks like it's almost like no choice, but maybe I didn't know the choice, or I haven't really think about opening Glasgow, for example. It was a moment that, because I'm very familiar, it was comfort zone more like that. I'm very familiar with Edinburgh, so it makes sense that I open in Edinburgh, and every opportunity come out and in Edinburgh. And for training wise, it's a lot much easier because we can just go around Edinburgh. We had 5 at that time, and then we jump into Glasgow the first time. I think the 5 is feel like, okay, that's enough. Where you want? Oh, the closest one is Glasgow, you know? So we go Glasgow. Yeah.
And for you, as you kind of said there in terms of some of the challenges, and for the first 4 or 5, you're having to almost run the business as well, and you kind of writing everything on a bit of paper. How's that changed now? And we're going to come into that next chapter of the journey. But what did that look like, first of all, in terms of that first step? Did you bring in, whether it was like a financial manager, or what did it look like in terms of putting those people around you that so you can almost specialize in being the brand and the food, and being able to bring in those subject matter experts that can really own a specific area that, which maybe to your own vulnerability is not your strongest area?
The first one I bought is actually a coach, a business coach.
Great.
Yeah. Alan Smith, I still remember him because in number 3, I had him. And then he was like just shaping my mindset. I had this growth mindset all the time because I always want 1 restaurant, okay, 2 restaurants, 3 restaurants. And then I'm like, I want more, but how do I control that? And the business is my weakest actually. So then business coach. After business coach, he feed me in idea of what I needed to do, but I couldn't execute it because I was very busy in the kitchen. It was just ticket after ticket.
Yeah.
And then I start bringing people, start with, they call it personal assistants, secretary. And then I started to bring people more like specialized in specific role. Marketing then popped. And I didn't really bring her. She was like proposing. She was working in Maki Ramen. And she was like, look, I studied marketing. That's my subject in university. I can do XYZ for you. Let me try. And she was very passionate because it was like a project for him. And then the marketing come, and then the finance come, and then now it's like COO, CEO, CFO, and all these things. Yeah.
Yeah. COVID was a tough period for a lot of businesses.
Yes.
What was that like for yourself and Maki Ramen when that kind of hit, and that period?
It was, first of all, I remember that was very shocking because they say COVID, and I was like, okay, it's just a flow.
Yes.
But then the government announced like, close the door. This is when I'm like, what?
Hey.
And then we close. I think they give us like a day or 2, just like saying like, close it. And we closed, and we didn't know like nothing about that. Everyone stays at home. I had 6 at that time, and a factory and a central kitchen. They're all like shut. 1 month later, this is when my team starting to like get itchy. They're like, I want to work, you know, like fellow, not fellow. I just want to work. And I feel that because I also want to work. And one of the team members say, oh, our next door neighbor, the restaurant, they open only for takeaway. How about we try that? And he says like really busy. And I was like, okay, cool, let's try. So open one up. It wasn't busy, by the way, but we just opened. And then this is how things starting to open up. And then we have staffing issue. We have to choose today either close number 5 or close number 4 because there is only one set of staff that I can move. Because there is part of the staff didn't really want to go back to work because they're enjoying the fellow. Why not? And then they kind of like enjoying the work from home time, those kind of things. Yeah.
And what was that like for you in terms of being the business owner? How did that impact you emotionally at home? How did that look?
Emotionally was fine. It's more like the physical not being able to go to work. But we were set up like a small group of people, and this is when everything rising. We were like, okay, COVID is not let us open, but what we can do, we can deliver. So it wasn't starting with like a aggregator like Deliveroo. It was starting with our own delivery driver. So my dad, me, my wife, everyone with a car drive. And then we're doing marketing promotion. Everyone is on the phone at home. I do that as well. So why don't we just invest on marketing, social media, boosting ads, and doing delivery? So we've done a lot of delivery. We crashed the entire system because we did like discount. I think it was £5 ramen or something, right? £10, £8 ramen, £5 ramen. And it was so much order. There was so much complaint. I called everyone who have a car to help me out with this. It was one time.
Wow.
One time. We didn't know it was that impact. We didn't know it would go viral and it was go such a big impact. And we're using our own driver, meaning that we have a limited amount of driver. And then we switch it on to Deliveroo. So will not happen again because no matter how much order, Deliveroo will help because they have a lot of the rider. So yeah, that was like a lesson. Yeah, but it was good. It was fun.
But I guess you kind of held your nerve as well in many ways, or in coming out the other side of COVID, and what you were able to do is use it as somewhat of a platform to really show your trajectory now and where you're going. How's it kind of shifted over the last 5 years or so since COVID around maybe if you even go back to 2021 and 22, what was the vision then for Maki and Ramen? Was it almost just to get back up and running and focus on Edinburgh and your current customer base? Or were you thinking bigger in terms of how we scale, and what took you to where you're at now in terms of that journey?
The scaling wasn't come until Maki 7, which is St. James. But after COVID, we were trying to like just get back on the feet. But what we see is also once we open up with a limited seat and those kind of the social distance and stuff like that, we found that. So I see a lot of my restaurant friends or either someone that I know or like they starting to shutting down. And I see we are actually getting really busy after COVID. Once it's open, really, really busy. And I see like, so there is a wave coming in. There are people shutting down and there are people thriving. And we are driving. We are driving really fast at the time. And this is where I realized that, that brand can do something with it. But it was more like recovering, basically. Then Maki 7, St. James. This is when it's opened up because we were like thinking about, shall we take St. James Quarter? It was really expensive rent. Highest rent that we ever take. Is going to be a very expensive renovation. And we're going to go against a lot of national giant. And we are like local, basically. And once we open, queue every day. The best sell per density for all St. James Quarter food for the consistent 2 years. Well, so like this report is coming from them, telling us we are the top one now. And this is when a lot of people realize that they're like, hey, would you like to come to my shopping mall? So the landlord starting to do that. And this is when I'm like, okay, this is time to scale.
Yeah. So what happens next?
Happened next was Maki 8, 9, 10. Next was consolidation because after opening St. James was really expensive. So we had to pay back loan. There was a lot of different loan that we have to pay back. It took us 1 year to like just recover from it. And then Maki Glasgow, big site, Maki 9 Manchester, Maki 10 Leeds. So that's like everything in 1 year. Yeah. So that's the jumping to England
Proper scale.
Yeah, proper scale.
What is that? A lot of people say when you're scaling a business, if you really want to scale, you've got to get out of your own way, and you can't be the blocker that actually stops you growing. Stepping back from being head chef to being CEO and founder, talk to me about the difficulties that you found in that, and what were the most important things to get right to make sure that Maki and Ramen was able to scale, but was able to do so without losing what its unique selling point was.
It was a struggle because I wanted to do specific things in terms of the kitchen side, but then because in order for you to scale, you would need to give up something. And when I talked to the team, like even like being frugal, like what was that? Training, for example. So before I train, I just be there, I hire the staff and I train them and move on. Now is we had to, if I need 10 kitchen, I probably need to hire like 20 kitchen just to train them. And then we filter them. Some of them don't turn up, some of them didn't like the job. And then we filter them. We probably end up until we open, or 1 month after we open, we end up like 2 or 3 of them, out of 20.
Yeah.
And then we hire more. So this is all the standard procedures and everything. It wasn't like this when I remember. Like the chef wasn't like that difficult to work with. I didn't let anyone go. Like since Maki 7, everyone just stay. Yeah, there's a lot of like this kind of like, how do I say that? A micro example. I like to use chicken thigh to do chicken karaage.
Okay.
I got a lot of complaint using chicken thigh to use to do a chicken karaage because they don't understand chicken thigh is actually when they give a bite, they're like, oh, it's pink, it's raw. They send back. Delivery complaint, this complaint. But you know what? Fine. Chicken breast, dry.
Yeah.
Oh, very good, very good. And I was like, why? So that period of scaling is like, because when you're small, you don't care. If this is how I do it, you eat it. But now, if I'm losing customer because of my belief that I think chicken thigh is better than chicken breast, so that's back and forward. We changed the chicken breast, and then there was a time like recently, I think 3 years ago, and then we're like, you know what? I have the money now. I don't care what you say. Eat that chicken thigh. You can go somewhere else.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So now it's chicken thigh.
And what are some of the most important things that have enabled you to scale? Because you talked a lot around the founding principles of Maki and Ramen is that nobody's doing ramen properly, and you want to make that proper. But what comes with scaling so fast, and you're only going to get more businesses, whether it's private equity and investors coming in to really take advantage of that scale. What are the things that keep you up at night the most in terms of that quality assurance to make sure that if I go on the plane tomorrow and I go to Dubai, or if I go to Soho or I go to the O2, I'm having the exact same bowl of hell ramen as I am in St. James's Quarter?
There was a debate before there is a couple of private equity coming over and make an offer. The one thing I would protect is the product. So the ramen need to be made, like not like frozen buy from somewhere and is dehydrated and stuff like that. The broth need to be proper bone cooking. I don't care where you're doing it, as long as it need to be proper cooked at. And then this is the one kind of condition or the non-negotiable that if I will sell part of it, you're not going to sacrifice that. You're not going to do that because you're going to tell me, well, we want to make more profit. Look at your food costs. We can do that. We can put some powder in the hot water. We can make more profit. That's like the only one thing that I'm like non-negotiable. Obviously, we didn't sell to anyone. I just didn't feel it's the right time anyway. Yeah, but scalability, I think like before I started with like you know the pasta machine that you like manually? That's my first pasta machine that I make ramen from Maki One. And then you get it. So manually you get an automatic one, but a smaller one.
Yeah.
And then you go for a bigger one and a bigger one and give it on. So it's machinery a bigger machine will give you like a more product of ramen.
Mm-hmm.
The pot, getting from a home cooking pot to like a 100 liter, 200 liter pot. Industrial pot. Yeah.
Talk to me around the focus on continuous improvement and the Kaizen methodology, and just to make sure that you're not standing still. You're going to continue to develop, and whether you make the product better, the staff better, the experience better. That's what you write a lot around the importance of that. Share a little bit more.
Kaizen is meaning in the business is 1% better, but how you do that, you break it down into a different sector. Inside the sector, you break it down into even a smaller sector in the department or whatever you want to call that. If I'm especially in food, so I will just talk about like how the ramen getting better, 1% better. So if I break it down into the ramen itself, what flour I use, how much water content, do I use egg, what is the resting time and so on, and how long we cook and how is the temperature is. So, but in a bigger scale, we're looking at like, if we will buy that item, will it speed up the whole delivery or the speed delivery for the kitchen or for the front? If we will reduce that and we will do that, will it be automatic? Like, buying like a manual to automation. We used to doing Excel and we put numbers, we transferring number from cash up sheets to the Excel one by one. And then technology come, you don't need to do it anymore. You can just tell this computer to transfer this information, CSV file, whatever, to your Excel that you needed to, and they will just build it up for you. So that's automation. So instead of me hiring a person just to put transferring number from point A to point B, automation, one click and it goes.
Yeah.
Kaizen. What was the Kaizen more?
I think a lot of businesses will always talk around that and continuous improvement, but it's clear to see over the years you've been living and breathing that. When you walk into one of your sites and restaurants, what is it you want to be seeing from the people that are delivering your brand, making the food? What are some of the standards that you expect to see?
So nowadays, if I go into a restaurant, it's actually from the Kaizen kind of pyramid, is actually now is the bottom, because that's the end result of it. I try to give you an example of something. Okay. So toilet clean. Okay. If I go into the restaurant, the toilet is not clean. Now I'm thinking about not just hey, can you clean the toilet? That's only solves one-time problem. Now, then I was looking up and I say, if they tick the box of cleaning the toilet, because we have like a tablet that you need to tick the box. If they tick the box, but the toilet is not clean, then it's go up to another level, which is like, why is someone ticking the box, but the toilet is not clean? And then now I'm going up to a weekly or monthly report and then see if all the toilet is being green, or all other sides are they all green by cleaning toilet. If then is go up to upper level, which is like area manager, why that particular restaurant the toilet is not clean. So then the area the manager will go down back again, and then go back to the COO, because the COO is operation. It's like, why is your area manager and your staff not cleaning the toilet? So when you go to the restaurant, is actually the end result of what the system been built.
Great.
Yeah.
Very different from maybe where you were at in Maki 6 or 7.
Yeah. So I would just clean the toilet.
Of course, yeah.
Problem solved, right?
Yeah.
That's problem solved. But the problem is now it's a bigger problem than just cleaning a toilet. So I don't need to clean the toilet, but I just need to find out why the toilet is not clean. Where is the system?
Where in the systems are broken?
Yeah, broken. Yeah.
I really like that. Well, that's a good example, and people can take that away as a metaphor, as around the broken toilet.
Maybe maybe a different example.
But I think it is it's a great one, because then it's probably going to, not only are you going to think around where in the chain is the system broken, it's also going to make you ask a question around where else across my business are standards not where you need them to be.
Yes.
And go looking for that. And I think it's so important in terms of having those systems, and again, having Kaizen not just as a word that gets bandied around, but how do you actually live and breathe it to make sure that the business is going to, stay at that bar that it is of all the different ones. People, when you're hiring people, and you talked around the training and how, important it is to get that right in the time, but now you're starting to hire people coming from probably bigger corporate organizations into senior leadership roles.
Yes.
What are the expectations from the people that you're bringing in, whether it's the values that they have and their ambition and skill sets? What are the key things that you really hold a high bar to when you're hiring?
I prefer to grow my own team. So I would rather have them to start low and then build them, rather than have external. We do that, but maybe 10% of it is coming from external, and then the rest of it is growing from team. Even from external, I would like them to if it's area manager, for example, so they need to take over a region, maybe 5-6 restaurants. If they have experience in area manager, they did this restaurant, that restaurant, I was used to manage 10 restaurants, 15 restaurants. I want them to work as a front of house first. And then not you need to work 1 year here, 1 year there, but with a spotlight of hey, I want you to train in front of house, train as a GM, as a manager, and then go up to area manager. Within this time, we can see things. So I can give some feedback from the team, from the bar, from the kitchen. Then we can decide whether we want him to become an area manager or not. Now, normally they would become area manager only from front of house, a supervisor, assistant manager, and area manager. So there is a particular person that is do very well in terms of KPI on that particular site. Then they become an area manager because they done something right. And I want that to be clone that person and continue to do that. And this is why that person has become area manager.
Yeah, that's great. I think a lot, because it's always the case when a business scales and it goes to that next level, you're going to be bringing in people that are coming from different organizations, different cultures, but being able to embed them in the core of what the product and the service is, I think is only going to really strengthen things. So now, current state in terms of Maki, 19 sites?
19, yes. So it's a bit confusing because I'm because doing this 11 years, there is Maki 1 and 2 has combined together. So basically my first one, my second one closed down because the lease is over 10 years. So because they closed down, I have to find something to become Maki 1. Ikigai Ramen, I have another brand called Ikigai Ramen, which is to turn it into number 5. So Maki number 5 turned into Ikigai Ramen. But in general speaking, we up to Maki 19 plus 3 franchise, so 21. Plus minus.
And you've obviously recently gone international as well. You've now got a site out in Dubai. What's that been like in terms of the challenges? You've obviously gone from Edinburgh, then you've went to Glasgow, then down to England, now going international. What's that look like, and some of the challenges of doing that from a business scalability internationally?
The Dubai things is, so we went with a chest puff, hey, we are Maki Ramen. And then they're like, well, I don't care. And then I was like, I want to be in that mall because that's the busiest mall. It's like a Westfield, London kind of mall. It's like, okay, this is how much? I was like, whoa, wait a minute. And then we thinking about, we are Maki Ramen, we're big brand in. But then I pick a very, it's a 5-star hotel, but it's outside the kind of the city center. Because I got a shift minded now. I was like, wait a minute. Before we start big, how about we seed first? We do seeding. We get to know the customer because we don't know. We get to know the compliances. We don't know. It's very different there. Like your hiring process, how you set up a company, everything is very different. And we lost our main product, which is called the tonkatsu ramen, which is like a pork ramen. We don't have that now because cannot sell pork. And we lost probably 15% of our sale from not selling alcohol. So now all of a sudden it's all changed. Lucky or maybe unlucky, I opened it up and then it was like 1 month, 2 months delay when I complained that like mooring about it with the Dubai people is like, welcome to Dubai. Everything is late there. But I see a good opportunity because there's a lot of things going on there. It's a very busy city. So I started sitting. When I opened Ramadan, like, okay, so I lost my lunch. They start eating at 6 or 7 o'clock and I'm not well established. So I got zero trade. And then the war started. So then a lot of people left. So I'm in that situation now is like, try to survive in Dubai. But I understand all the circumstances. And this is why I'm like, okay, let's leave it as it is. And the way that I say lucky and unlucky is, unlucky I just opened a restaurant and all these things happen. They never had a war or something. And then it's lucky because I didn't choose like the city center main shopping mall to start with.
Yeah. What's the ambition now? Because you're obviously at 19 sites. What's most important? Or what's the vision now for Maki and Ramen? What it can become, what you want it to be as you look to the future?
There will be another 6 more this year, 26. And then 27, we just had a meeting saying like no more, consolidate, fixing the system. Because what I see, it's more like it's like a pizza dough that when you stretch it, you make it bigger, especially the sourdough, and then you start to see a lot of hole in there.
I've recently just bought an uni and I've been trying to learn how to stretch pizza.
Exactly.
It's exactly what you're talking about.
And then you got this little hole that happened in the middle, and now you cannot put any more sauce in there because it's leaked. So then what you do, you wait, sometime waiting a time, the dough will shrink it back because it's resting. Another one is you look at that microscope, look at that, where is the hole is. This is go back to the Kaizen.
Yeah.
Right? So we had 1 year of break. I'm not saying we're not going to expand, but we will not expand as fast as. So 25 is 8 restaurant, 26 is 12 restaurant. So 27 is like, go for a break. So let's look at where is the problem. We recently run like, we asked all the GM and the head chef, give me problem, because we always talk about problem and solution. Like 5-star review, 1-star review, everyone look at 1-star review. Like as a team, we need to look at 1-star review. Same as this, bring me problem, let us solve it. And we write down all the problem we have. We break it down from the problem to which department does it belong. And then we just list it all out. And then we would just tackle each individual of them. We can tackle that like clean the toilet, so fast, quick win. And then we can tackle that in like, let's build a system that is not going to happen again.
That's great. What great analogy as well. The pizza dough one. I'm going to steal that.
I just use food analogy.
That's brilliant. And I think it's great what you've shown there is when you're a business like yourself, and again, when you stood up and did that keynote speech, the trajectory of the graph is crazy. And it'd be easy to just keep going more and more and more. But to have actually the discipline of, if we don't just take stock and reflect and actually have a bit of a retrospective on what's working, why is it working, what's not working, how do we fix it, you're going to really, if you get that right, you're going to set yourself up for even bigger growth. But just having the discipline must be difficult being CEO and founder when it's easy to get carried away with that skill.
Well, I think 26 opening 12 is already a carry away, to be honest. we didn't realize that until we like, yes, oh, there's a site here. Oh, that's good. Yes, and yes, and yes. And then by the time when I say all these 12 years, it was like too late.
Yeah.
Because if I say no now, it will cost 200,000, 400,000, depend on.
And from a business perspective, how are you making that work? Is that loans to kind of make that work? It's obviously
loan, investors. That's like internal financial. Yes. We have some reserve, like it's good. We call it baseline. So we're gonna hurt our baseline a little bit. But it is when the baseline is hurt. This is where the risk come from.
Of course.
Okay. So we reserve like say 1 month's worth of expenses. So if there is anything happen, all the restaurants shut down today, we still have 1 month pay off the staff, pay off the rent. So
safety blanket.
Yeah, safety blanket. So we call it baseline. And sometimes we can take some of this money to expand. But that's where the risk is.
Yeah. Because
if we take the money out, then have something happen, then we don't have money. So this is where the cash flow playing. So far it's okay. We'll rather like borrow, ask for investors. There's a lot of way to do it. Yeah.
So tell me about your role now then, and how that looks. What does your day-to-day, week-to-week look like as CEO and founder of, a fast-scaling food empire?
Fast scaling. Day to day, I think I'm more visionary now rather than like before I wasn't visionary. I was just day by day working and that's it. I'm more visionary. I'm looking at some trend. There's like frozen ramen, for example, I mentioned there. Like, okay, there's a trend of frozen ramen. Let's try that out. So we start seeing it. Later on, hopefully we'll go to like supermarket and stuff like that. So visionary. Sushi pop, which is like a viral video went out in New York, and now I see that in Netherlands, in UK, in some of the places. So it's like sushi pop is gonna trend. Let's do it. Okay, it's not like sushi pop. Let's buy it from some kind of like a warehouse pop. Put some sushi then sell. It's more like a lot of planning. The a design of the pop and everything. So a lot of visionary things, decision making. I think that's like a thing. Do we open here? Do we open there? Let's look at the swipe analysis. What is the people like population? What is the demographic? What is the age group? And then making decision based on number and also based on guts. So actually go in the sites. Walk around the street. Me and Michael was always our COO. We always laugh at like every time when we go and see a site, one of the tick box is walk 20,000 steps, because that's the only way that we can kind of like feel the city. Yeah. There's a lot of new city that I haven't been, and we have Maki Ramen there. Nottingham, first time being there. Walk around the city. Feel the vibe, feel the people, see who is passing by, what car they're driving, what building is it, and then what shopping mall they have, what offering, retail offering, and then really feel the vibe and then making a decision.
That must be quite exciting.
Exciting, yeah.
Yeah, to look around and see and almost get that when all those boxes are getting ticked in terms of the demographic, the footfall, the mall, and things like that. And when you think we should put a site here, that must be quite a feeling.
Well, after all that, sometimes we get it wrong.
It's so good.
It was like, yeah.
What stresses you out the most? You've obviously, this year, you said you're opening 12 sites, which is probably enough to stress just saying that out loud. But what are the things that you stress the most about or kind of get you in that kind of state?
I am very conscious that when you expand fast, you will have a lot of problem after that. So this is when we talk about the consolidation. But I am worried that there will be underperforming site that we're not aware of. And that's a problem. Like you have consistent go up by numbers and then you don't feel it. They are just like quiet silence, going up by number, making profit, but you don't feel it because they're not like dramatically go up so you can see it. they're consistent, but at the same time, you also have consistent going down side. So you won't feel it. Maybe a number of customer, 1,000, you drop 10, you won't feel it after 1 week and 1 week and 1 week. So if you think about the Kaizen 1% better, I'm worried about the 1%, the minus 1% that you don't feel it, but it's creeped down, creeped into a size that by the time we realize that, it's too late.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I try to always avoid this. So I'm just looking at the number. Is it the number of customers? Is it the average spend? What's happening in here? What's happening in there? Is there more restaurant opening up? Or is that like something to do with the human, like the service? So look at Google review. I'm looking more deeper, sending mystery customer inside. I'm looking at the kitchen and talk to the head chef, talk to the KP or the chef instead of talk to the head chef, tell me what's going on inside. But sometimes head chef, GM will give you positive. But what I want the dirty bit.
The truth, yeah.
Truths, yeah.
Yeah. How have you changed as a leader over the last 5-10 years as the business has scaled? What have you learned as your strengths, but maybe your development areas as well? And how's that kind of changed your journey as a leader?
At first, I learned to let go some of my staff because I didn't want anyone to touch my number, anyone to deal with this and doing that, and then slightly let go. Maybe it's out of like choice because it was just too much. I changed as a leader. I think I'm more calm now. Before I was in the kitchen, I was just very aggressive. And lead by example. I learned that if I do something like dodgy, something wrong, the team will follow.
Yeah.
So I have to like keep myself really in like a standing position, ready to go. I like being proactive. So I think the team is really picked that up really fast. I don't like to wait. Like if I think about a project, I need it done. So maybe this is where the impatience come from. Yeah, learning as a leader.
What's how big can Maki and Ramen become?
Oh, wow. Unlimited. There's no limit. So I say no limit is not only like, okay, how many restaurants can you open?
Yeah.
Okay, they give you a number, 50. Great. But how about merchandise? How about the frozen ramen? How about the sushi pop? How about a lot of other things, sponsorship, subscription, membership, and all this? Like there is so much we can do there. So I don't see a limit in there. There is just so much we can do after that as well. How about products, like selling product like ramen only in a supermarket? You know, how about we become the chili sauce? We have the hell ramen, is very famous. How about we sell some chili sauce? You know, and how about using the IP, the intellectual property, to do something with that? Franchise is another one that's like, so it's not only opening corporate shop, it's a lot more than that. Yeah.
Will you be a part of it forever?
I'm sure. I'm debating. Part of me wanted to, because during the COVID time, there was like time that like, hey, when we gonna stop? When we gonna retire? But after the COVID, it's like, I'm not gonna retire. Like there's no way I'm gonna retire. This is so boring. So yes, maybe pass it on to my daughter. But right now they're too young to do that. It's probably going to be the COO, because he's the one who really understands the business. If I do ever want to step out, but right now I think Maki is my life as well.
Yeah.
So I think without that, I just don't know what I'm doing. Like I've not much of an interest in anything. Like I don't know celebrities. I don't know footballers. I just only interested in restaurant and this. If we talk to
speaks volumes of why you are where you are. I think you talked about that being that, young teenager and wanting to work in restaurants, and now you're doing this. Maybe not from when you opened that first site of Maki Ramen, or even in those Jimmy Chung's or whatever, could you even imagine to be where you are now?
No way. Like, it's I always have a very small mindset, so it's just like day to day, and then just enough. Because when you go into, like, you cannot work somewhere else. By the way, when you're in UK and you're on work permit, there's only one dedicated specific restaurant that you need to work for, and it's no matter what. There you go. So if you work 6 days, you work 6 days. If they need you to work 7 days, 7 days. I didn't had Christmas, which is the 24th, or the 24th, 25th, and the Boxing Day for the last maybe 15 years. I never had that, a day off there, because there's always, what's restaurant industry, 24th, like 25th, the busiest time, they used to increase the price by double because it's 25th. And then, so everyone need to work. So for the last maybe 15 years, I didn't really have that Christmas thing. It wasn't in my thing until my wife was like, hey, enough, let's go for Christmas dinner. It's like, what is Christmas dinner? Is
ramen.
She will be so pissed.
Are you content? Are you happy with where you're at on the journey, or are you itching for more? Tell me about
that. So it is more like let's say like, so there was a time that I was saying, like, I want to have a dream job. My dream job is getting, at that time, was £1,600 a month, closer to a gym and a cinema. That's all I'm asking for. And I got it. Okay, it was closer to a gym, it was closer to a cinema, and then I got 1,600. Then it's go up, right? I was setting myself a passive income at £2,000 per month, because £2,000 just enough for me to like go on with my life, but I still need to work, and it's just enough. But now the fact is 2,000 is also not enough. So there is always like a enough until it's not, right?
Cool.
But now I'm very, very happy. Like, it's like this kind of achievement and all this, like, look back with, what you mentioned before. Very happy. No regret. Do I want more? I don't think I want more in terms of like, it's not the it's not the money, it's more like the numbers. It's like, do I get it right? If you play a game, you want to score 100%. So right now, if I'm scoring 80, can I play that again and score 90? Can I play again and score 100? But there's nothing to do with money. You don't get money from that game.
Great. Amazing. Thanks so much, Teddy. Got a few quick-fire questions to finish.
Okay.
And don't worry, you can think a little bit. You don't need to be too quick-fire. For yourself, do you believe great leaders are born or developed?
A great leader is developed, but a top tier 10% great leader is born and
made better.
Developed.
Really good. If you could go for a coffee or any drink of choice with one leader and pick their brains for a couple of hours, who would it be and what would you ask?
I want like someone like CEO of Wagamama. I will, because the reason is, take away the product. I think they have a great business model, and I want to know, like, what's the location doing? How do you control the staff costs? I want to pick someone who has the same kind of restaurant industry, but bigger than me. Like, if I have 30, I want someone at 50 or 60 restaurants. So they went through my path, so they know that. But I need someone who went through from 30 to 60 in order for them to tell me, yeah.
Yeah, really good. Maybe just go and hire them, bring them in. What's your most important non-negotiable as a leader?
Non-negotiable will be proactive. It has to be 1, 2, 3, 5 step thinking ahead and doing things like much faster than anyone else.
What's one word that would define your leadership style?
Autonomy. I give autonomy, I give them, but I will follow up.
Really good. When you're leading a team, which behavior are you least tolerant of?
Least tolerant.
Yeah.
So like less, so unaccepted. Yeah. Opposite of proactive, lazy, procrastination, not getting the things on time.
Yeah, good. What 3 words would your colleagues, counterparts use to describe Teddy Lee?
I think sensei is more like a mentor, impatient, which I disagree. And I think I'm kind of calm. Like,
I get that.
I'm calm.
Maybe not in those early restaurant years.
Yeah. But if you work with me in the kitchen, maybe it's a different story. But now we're here.
Who are the 2 people that have had the biggest influence on you as a leader, a chef, a CEO, as a person?
The first one was is my dad. I think because he opened a restaurant, so then I'm kind of follow his path. The second one was my coach, Alan Swift, because he's actually teaching me the right way of thinking about business, and rather than like working in the kitchen.
What's the best team environment you've been a part of, and why?
Best team environment. There was this. So I was working with in a kitchen. It was very smooth. It was like me and it was supposed to be 3 chefs, and then one of them didn't turn up, off sick, whatever, obviously. But then there was 2 people, and it's extremely busy. We didn't speak a word. We went through a 3-hour very busy a shift without speaking a word, but we read the body language between us, and we went at very smooth. And I think I still remember that, but because that was like 20 odd years ago, but it was the thing that you don't talk, but then you feel it, and it's just smooth. I like that kind of like atmosphere, and no toxic, of course, but sometimes if you look at it at a bigger picture, not only working there, but then a bigger picture is like team that sit down, we brainstorm something together, and we come up with idea. That was a very productive kind of like day. So yeah.
And it attaches to a lot of your, you talked on your non-negotiable, actually, that proactiveness around how do you continue to improve, and it's the strong themes coming through.
Yeah.
If you could have a 5-minute conversation with a 15-year-old Teddy Lee, what would you say to him?
I won't say anything, because if I was tell him, I would probably tell him like, oh, don't go for the restaurant industry. It was very hard. But if I knowing what I'm knowing now, it's like, hey, I would probably tell him go and open your own restaurant as soon as. I think that's what I would do, because I was delayed because of all these, working permit, illegal immigrant things. But I will find a way to like open it as soon as. Yeah.
How important has it been on the journey, and just in general, do you believe, whether it's that advice you're giving there, to make mistakes and to fail and get things wrong in order to get things right?
So I like to do things. What we say is this. Sometimes I have a lot of example of this, which is like the team brainstorming something, and then they're like, okay, let's do this, let's apply for this, let's do compliances, let's do like standard procedures. And then I was like, no, just make the product, put it on the door, start selling it. And then you find out, oh, let's do a focus group. No, just put the product, sell it. You will receive feedback. You will receive operational issue. I would rather do that first before all this planning, and then make mistake. But by the time that the team come up with that product, I already make like 10 mistakes, but I already start selling it. So yeah, this is something that I always work with, that like I want to execute it first, learn from that, taking those mistakes then. And by the way, it's not mean that after you do all these standard procedures, you don't make mistake. you're still gonna make mistakes. So what's the point? Why don't you just execute it first and then learn from your mistake and continue improvement? Like my ramen, it wasn't good enough for the year one, but then you learn, you feedback, and then you,
Excellent. Final question. What's the best piece of advice you've been given that you can pass on to our audience?
Best piece of advice. You only need one sharp knife in your life. And that's reflected to like, I only need one Maki Ramen brand that is doing very well. I don't need any other brand, which I do. So, but then it wasn't doing so well. So it's like, if I sharpen Maki Ramen and I continue working on Kaizen to sharpen it, 1% is actually the sharpening knife. I will go much farther. Yeah.
Really good. Ted Lee, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much for having me.
Cheers.
Thank you.